This channel is entirely fan-funded on Patreon. I know you guys' money is limited, but the next time you have a few bucks to spare, if you could consider supporting me, I'd really appreciate it. Overwatch has loot boxes. Everybody knows this at this point. And Overwatch, despite probably, arguably being one of the most important games to utilize loot boxes and kind of sparked off the trend we all see now, probably one of the most respectable people responsible for loot boxes. Everything they have in there is cosmetic, nothing affects game balance, which in a game like Overwatch is really fucking important not to tweak the balance by having things available behind a paywall. And even in response to some controversy when the game first came out with having costumes unavailable to buy after certain dates, they kind of, I think they tweaked that a bit. I haven't played Overwatch in fucking forever, so excuse me if I'm spouting some ignorance, but as far as I'm aware, they've removed a lot of those restrictions that people were upset about with gating cosmetic items and not being able to get them after an event was over and things like that. So Overwatch, his loot boxes are, well, I'm not a huge, massive fan of loot boxes because it still requires financial investment to get things you want quickly and efficiently, as opposed to being like click button buy item. In the wide gamut, in the world of EA's and Activision's, Blizzard's not doing too bad in Overwatch, all things considered. Their scheme for this is brilliant, though, because why do so many people give a shit about cosmetics in a game where cosmetics don't matter? And I figured it out. I think I figured it out why. This answers two of my big questions with Overwatch at the same time. They're two separate questions that are intrinsically linked to each other. The first was, why do so many people care about cosmetics in Overwatch? Because I know there are people who like customizing their character, but this seems like in a game all about competition, it seems rather unnecessary. Not a huge big fucking deal. So why is Overwatch's loot boxes so successful on one hand? And on the other hand, the other question I always had about Overwatch is, why are they marketing the game the way they are? Because in most of the trailers and advertisements for the game, it talks about this big grand narrative and these really cool characters. Characters are the central focus of all the marketing of this game. There's never any gameplay. We see trailers that are basically short films spotlighting each of these characters and building up this lore of like Talon versus Overwatch, but none of that matters in the game. At all. There's no story. There aren't two just separate teams. You can mix and match the teams in the trailers that they build up against each other. None of the lore and none of the characterization comes into effect at all. So why market a game that's based on competition and basically is an arena game on this story that has nothing to do with the final product? And it's because of the loot boxes. That's my theory. My theory is they're advertising this because of the loot boxes. Because to make you care about cosmetics, you gotta care about your avatar in the first place. And the way to make you care about your avatar in the first place is to get you invested in them as a character. And that's the genius, I think. I think that's why it was done. Because not only are you interested in characterization intrinsically, and so that opened up Overwatch to a much wider audience. If they just advertised it as a game where you shot people in an arena, the usual fare of people would care. But by making it character-based, you have all these people. There's a huge fucking audience on Tumblr for Overwatch, people who would never play a game like this. So I think that was really one of the important things. But this also leads perfectly into their loot box cosmetic things. They get their cake and they eat it too. They don't upset the balance of the game by having pay-to-win mechanics in Overwatch, but they also have baited the hook by making you really care and invested in all these characters, especially your favorites. So you want to have all the trinkets for them. You want to make them look even cooler. You want to have just the right voice line to express your way you want Reaper to sound, or May to sound, or whatever the fuck. You got the little tiny things you can make your character express themselves exactly the way you want to, and make them feel more like the character you kind of envision them to be based on all these shorts and stuff. You're invested in that character, and you want to see them grow and expand, and all these little trinkets you get out of the little different costumes and the voice lines and all this stuff, despite not having anything to do with the game itself, are a great way of adding little flourishes that make you express more about this character that you're really attached to. So it's a fucking pincer strike of brilliance in that way. They get to have all these people really deeply emotionally invested in the characters they're playing as, so when you get all these cosmetic things that kind of give more flourishes to the storyline they've already got you invested in with all these trailers, you buy them hook, line, and sinker because you want more of it. It's devious, but it's brilliant. And now that I've said it, I hope more people don't do it because, no, just, it's too good. It's too smart. I don't like it. So that's all I got. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.